dog a dang on pool. There he is, like a proud father, filming a baby. I mean, if you want to get reincarnated as my dog, I want to be reincarnated as my dog. The girl got the best life around. I mean, the best life. The best life around. What did I do today, y'all? I didn't do too much. I actually got some really good rest today. I worked out. I did not watch my dog play in the pool, but I've seen her get in there a couple of times by herself. So, yeah, she kicking it. She living her best life. Other than that, nothing exciting. Ate Chipotle for dinner. I had some sofritas. I'm trying to lay off meat for a while until I can get this acid reflux situation under control. Other than that, that's it, y'all. I think I caught up with my shows. It's finally Wednesday, so those two came back on. Of course, they're single episodes, so I'll be off waiting again. So I'm still trying to find another show. I think I might have found something semi-interesting. It ain't like the best of the best, but you know, it is what it is. Of all the things, of all the shows they put out and all the access we have to stuff, it's just a lot of trash out there, for real. Stuff gotta really pique my interest, but yeah, that's about it, y'all. Sister's back in town, so she's yapping my ear off, and yeah, that's it. Nothing really exciting today. So let's go ahead and hop into this news. Residents of a mobile home senior community in Ohio are frustrated with rising costs from its new owner, financed by Freddie Mac. The government-sponsored enterprise are not buying food or eating properly. They're so worried about rent. Rent is just crazy, y'all. That federal-backed financing, all these companies that's buying these homes, it's just crazy. Recent movies and TV shows have made it clear Asian Americans are no longer chasing the opportunity to be merely included. Instead, diaspora storytellers are increasingly defining mainstream culture while creating their own spaces. Yeah, that's what's all over Netflix right now, I'll tell you that. I hate when I do that. Let's see. Most Latinas say they feel pressure to succeed at work, provide for their loved ones at home, while also juggling cultural expectations such as housework and living up to beauty standards. Welcome to the minority club. I think every minority feels like that. A New York City organization is giving free coding classes to students who live in the city's public housing, home to more than 500,000 low-income families. That's smart. Except for coding changes every 5 seconds. A nationwide electricity outage struck Ecuador on Wednesday, leaving the nation of 18 million in the dark. Dang. Black women who develop high blood pressure before the age of 35 may have triple the risk of having a stroke by middle age. In the past 4 years, the Asian American eligible voter registration population grew by 50%, making them the fastest growing electorate in the U.S. Jonas Frey created appointment trader after a frustrating day at the DMV. He quickly saw a demand to skyrocket, but not for DMV appointments, for restaurant reservations. Turns out a lot of people are willing to pay for access to elite dining experience. Smart. Lots of Asian American news for some reason. The Bachelorette to Love is Blind reality TV show in the world what healthy black love looks like. I don't know. I still say that is not true. More toxicity than anything. A human arm found on an Illinois beach has been identified as belonging to Sade Robinson, a 19-year-old Milwaukee woman who was dismembered after she went on a date with a man now suspected of killing her. That's crazy that he just threw her body parts everywhere. A 25-year-old man has been arrested in connection with a violent child sexual attack that has terrorized New York City's Queens community for days and shocked the New Yorkers throughout the city. Puerto Rico is aging faster than most places on Earth, according to researchers. Older adults who would traditionally rely on family or for care are increasingly find themselves alone and more dependent on caregivers. A group of polar bears in Greenland have been able to survive without much sea ice, offering hope for the species. Well, you know, creatures evolve. Supreme Court justices are set to decide a series of blockbuster cases before the current term ends. A father from Georgia has been released from prison 10 years after his toddler died in a hot car, a case that the media global headlines after prosecutors accused him of murder. Yeah, that is so, would be a hard case to decide, because some people really do be forgetting their kids in a car. United States-born kid Fuller J.J. Rice, who was representing Tonga, has died of a diving accident. I think I read about that the other day. Just makes it more exclusive, Travis Kelce said in reaction to a typo on Super Bowl whatever ring. He said, who cares? Former NBA star Nate Robinson, who was diagnosed with kidney disease 18 years ago, says he knows he will die if he doesn't find a kidney donor soon. Hope you find a kidney, old Nate. A family of 5 who owned and operated a dojo in Texas saved a woman and pinned down her attacker until law enforcement arrived. Hey, that's a good commercial right there. 2 Texas A&M fans were thrown out of a college World Series after apparently, why are they repeating so much news? A driver, gosh, I'm about to get up out of this. A man who may have been sexually assaulting a woman in Las Vegas was fatally stabbed after a group of citizens intervened to help the victim. TikTok has removed the blue check mark and people are going crazy. A 64-year-old Missouri woman with a history of mental illness has been declared innocent by a judge for a murder that she had spent more than 4 decades behind bars for. They're just ready for her to get out home. A nasty fungus can take control over a cicada, producing amphetamine in a critter and making them hypersexual, thereby fueling the parasite's spread. Wonderful. Collecting sex-crazed zombie cicadas on speed. Wonderful. A boater found 65 pounds of cocaine worth of estimated $1 million floating in the Florida Keys. He just didn't know who to turn it into. Los Angeles rookie Cameron Brink tore her ACL in her left knee. Ouch. Louisiana has become the first state to require that 10 Commandments be displayed in every public school and a classroom. I think we might be caught up, y'all. Let me see what I liked on here. They were repeating a lot of news. And death for him immediately. That's disgusting. So that was it as far as that stuff goes, y'all. Let's see what's going on TMZ. wife are still out of Fashion Week. Queen's music catalog events. Jennifer Lopez surfaces in Italy solo amid Ben marriage drama. Elon Musk's homicidal maniacs tried to kill me. I feel like John Lennon. Ben Affleck enjoys a motorcycle ride with his son in LA while J-Lo vacays in Italy. Ben, like, I still got little kids at home. J-Lo, like, I got little kids at home too, but I gotta be out in these streets. Conor McGregor first public appearance since his fight cancellation parties in Dublin. Remy Ma, who's a rapper, her son was arrested in a murder charge. She said her son is innocent. Swiss Beats and Timberland are bringing Versus to the X app. Fans say leave it in quarantine. People will still watch it. People are bored. They always watch something. Ashanti and Nelly are already married. They've been married for months, so people can rest assured, because everybody was like, she having a baby and she ain't even married. She's married now. She's married now. Travis Kelce is partying in Nashville with George Kittle. St. West is a hooper. That's what they say anyway. He could just be, the Kardashian kid, so they just say he's really good. Alright, let's see what else is going on. The news is kind of slow today, which is kind of good. That means ain't too many crazy things happening in the world amongst all the other crazy things that happen. If I can get to anything today, let's see. Not solving any riddles. Okay, it really ain't nothing going on in the news like that, y'all. So let's hop over to these Reddits. Might be another short one today, because I don't even think I captured that many story times. It wasn't too much popping today. What is the dumbest thing you've ever spent money on? Probably jewelry, because jewelry, especially if you buy it from one of them chains, you know you're getting ripped off. I bought a lot of games on Steam that I never played and most likely will never play. If I see a game very cheap, I need to buy it. I bid on a guitar signed by Metallica through a radio station auction where the proceeds would go to charity. This was over the phone before cell phones were big and everyone still had home phones. And live on air, me and other dumb people got into a bidding war on this guitar signed by Metallica. I won by making a crazy indie bid of $8,000, $1,500 more than the last bid. The goal was to be the crazy one, and it worked. The other dude bowed out, and I won it. I went down to the radio station to pick it up. No party has no great job, no greeters, just me and my shame of paying way too much for a Chinese-made Fender with four signatures on it. They gave it to me in an open cardboard box with no Nothing saying it was the real deal. It's probably worth $300 now. Probably even worse. I played it a few times and wore down one of the cigs. I mean, it's still there, but you can tell it's been rubbed off a little. The only saving grace was that I got to write it off on my taxes. My GoPro camera 10 years ago, turns out I don't live the exciting life I thought I did. I think most people that bought GoPros, although my husband does use ours when we go on vacation underwater, but I remember he was doing it. Cigarettes, an engagement ring, technology, it always goes out of style. Life-size Danny DeVito cardboard cutout. I use him as a seasonal decoration. So right now he's wearing a flower crown. In the winter he becomes a Christmas tree. Panera. DoorDash. Crack cocaine. They say Hunter Biden looks good for being on crack. Somebody said my ex-girlfriend. Never loan money to friends, you'll never see it again. Somebody said a Porsche. If your salary was double, what would you do with the extra income? Definitely save it, shoot, in this economy. Save it. Save it, retire sooner, hopefully. Gotta save it. And these days, they say we have Social Security or nothing. Start paying down hospital bills. Yeah, mostly everybody is talking about saving. Definitely some vacation in that. Somebody said more liquor. If you could know the absolute and total truth to one question, what would you ask? Gosh. That's hard. What are the next winning Powerball numbers? Now there we go. There we go. Somebody said, what's the point of it all anyway? What happens after death? Are we alone in the universe? As a man, why is my G-spot in my butt? Who is my soulmate? Will I ever be happy again? Who was I in a previous life? What's the cure for diseases? Very smart. Very smart and kind. But then if you have this answer as far as cures, who would you give it to? Because would people even believe you? Like, you'd have to get it to some really important doctor or scientist. Shoot, I want to know a rich person's PIN number. Let's get into Am I the A-hole? See if these are any better today. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my girlfriend when she tested me? When I was 16 years old, my girlfriend broke up with me. I was pathetic and begged her to change her mind. I thought I was in love and couldn't be without her. I was an idiot. I'm now 25 and I've promised myself I would never do that again. Excuse me. I had several relationships and a few hookups, and when they end, I'm sad but not weak. I had not been with my girlfriend for a year and a half. We met at a social function for people in our line of work. We hit it off and started seeing each other. and made it exclusive. Recently, we had been talking about moving in together. Our city's expensive, and we thought we could save money. Her apartment is bigger than mine, but I own mine, so we are working stuff out. Last weekend, out of nowhere, she says that we are moving too fast. Okay, no problem. We didn't make any plans. That can be done. Nope, she said that she wanted to take a break because she wasn't sure I was all in. I said, okay. Then she freaked out. Apparently it was a test to see if I would fight for her. Yeah, I don't do that anymore, and I do not appreciate buying games, so I told her that I would box up anything of hers that might be in my place, and she would pick it up. She accused me of being a cold-hearted a-hole that was only using her for sex. I wasn't. I thought we had a future. I wasn't ready to propose or anything, but I thought she was the one. We had met each other's family, and she had spent last Christmas with us. My parents and sister love her. I loved her. My mom and dad called me to ask me what was going on, and I told them they think I'm being stubborn. My little sister says I'm a complete jerk for not forgiving. I just remember crying to myself, oh girl, and refused to do it again. I think y'all both childish. That's what I think. Not the a-hole couple shouldn't text each other. A person puts their partner trust in their partner. No, not the a-hole, and F your family's opinion too. It's not up to them to deal with that. Am I the a-hole for approaching a woman at a bar while my wife was talking to another man? I'm 35 and my wife's 35 and I'm 36. I went to a bar last weekend for some drinks and dancing. We got inside. I told my wife I needed to use the bathroom and gave her some cash to go buy us some drinks. After I used the restroom, I found her at the bar with our drinks in her hand and she was chatting with another man. I have no issues with this. I approached my wife, grabbed my drink, and tried to join in on a conversation. I felt so awkward standing there as this guy had no idea who I was, and my wife didn't introduce me, so I stick out my hand to introduce myself to her husband, and the guy just blankly stares at me and gives me a limp wrist handshake. My wife and the guy continue their conversation, discussing their favorite bars in the neighborhood. I felt like a third wheel there, and it felt like my voice was being ignored. I decided to leave those two to talk, and I approached two women also sitting at the bar and make friendly conversation. The one was wearing a band t-shirt, one of my favorite bands, so we're talking about that. My wife saw this and began giving me a death stare. She then left the guy at the bar and pulled me away from those two, and it was quite awkward. My wife and I discussed what happened. I explained that I felt weird that she did that to me, that blah blah blah. We have discussed this at length, and she claims there are two different situations. I approached those women where she was already seated and the guy approached her. I'm over the situation, ready to move on, but my wife cannot let it go. Your wife is a twat. I've been sitting in the bar when my boyfriend was in a restaurant and approached by a man who decided to strike up a conversation. My boyfriend got back and stood up. I slid my arm around his waist and looked and smiled again and gave him a kiss to the other guy and didn't introduce him because I had no idea what the guy's name was, but there was no doubt in his mind that who I was there with. Somebody said, your relationship's over. Somebody said, not the a-hole. She didn't introduce you as her husband. The guy would have moved on if she wasn't excluding you. Yeah, your wife was like, she probably was like, my husband's a total loser. Watch when he comes up, he's going to totally be in our way. My family forgot I was a father. So literally both kids and my wife, who were reminded repeatedly over last weekend, forgot Sunday was Father's Day. Did they not watch TV or go on social media? No, anything. Literally F all. My wife, after being asked the next day, admitted she remembered, but not until 2 hours before I went to my third shift job. And then she remembered she admitted she texted her stepdad, but close to say nothing to me. Kids still haven't said anything. I'm mad, livid, and I'm not speaking to any of them. For the reference, my kids are 18 and 21. I've been married to the mother for her for 22 years and never forgot any of her birthdays, Mother's Day, etc., which I despise because of its proximity to my own birthday and way my parents used to essentially tell me I didn't deserve a birthday celebration, blah, blah, blah. Am I the a-hole? Kids and wife are certain I am, and I should apologize. No, they the a-hole for forgetting, but don't don't like put too much stock on Mother's Day and Father's Day, because I know we put all our pressure on ourselves to feel like we got to be celebrated. Now, do your wife treat you good the other 364? That's what I would be concerned about. Somebody said, shoot, man, I give my dad a card on Father's Day and he has dementia. Somebody said, I got a bag of Swiss chocolate hearts from my wife. If you come over, I'll share them with you. Somebody said, I also chose this man's wife. Somebody said, they want you to apologize for what? Yeah, your family played you. You have every right to be mad. Alright, let's get into these story times.
$75,000 bonus if you sign up for the military and you're a senior. This is legit. I looked it up. It's kind of crazy that they're actually doing this, but it's paid 33% after you finish boot camp, and then it's paid another 33% after you finish your schooling, and then the final portion comes at the last, when you get your certificate for whatever job title you're going to get, or however they do that. But yeah, they're paying $75,000 bonus as a senior to join the military, which is kind of crazy, but I guess with the numbers of the military way down, they're trying to entice people to come back, I guess. I would never do that, just because the administration that's there and the projection they're showing is for sure we're going to have some kind of conflict. And to me, it's not about...
So I heard about this. I also heard they were upping the age to 44 now, and you can like enlist at 44. Interesting. I know a lot of old people that'll go back in the military. Them really old people, they will go back to the military. I mean, some of them old people are in better shape than the young people, but I say if you still in shape and you can serve this country, knock yourself out.
Houston police looking for two persons of interest in the murder of a 12-year-old girl as the search for her killer continues.
These are brand new photos tonight of the men homicide detectives want to speak with. They were released in the last 2 hours. KPRC2's Bryce Newberry spoke with a family member, and Bryce is now live at HPD headquarters tonight with their hope for justice. Bryce.
Keith, Danielle, tonight we've just learned that young girl died due to strangulation. The grandmother tells me this is all a nightmare, and as the medical examiner's office continues working tonight to officially identify this murder victim, the family is hoping and praying that it isn't her. When a 12-year-old girl left her North Houston apartment Sunday night, her grandmother says her mother tracked her phone to this creek off Rankin Road. What she found has been too emotional to talk about.
We should not have to worry about 12-year-olds being raped and murdered in the city of Houston. Horrible.
Detectives want to talk to these two men, now identified as persons of interest, after investigators spent hours back in the neighborhood and at this gas station Tuesday, combing through surveillance video.
She's like almost a regular.
Christian Goffney is a clerk, a father himself, and distraught over what happened.
She was a very nice little girl. But to whoever needs to hear this, that what was done was not necessary.
After police say she snuck out of her house Sunday, the mayor says she had a phone call with her 13-year-old boyfriend.
It appears that he last talked to her at a convenience store around midnight. Heard her talking to two grown-ups.
It's not clear what happened next, but around 6 a.m.
I just happened to look, and she was there. I thought it was a mannequin.
Billie Jean Jackson drove by, spotting her body in this creek. She called 911.
It's not something you expect to see anywhere. And like I said, being a mom and a grandma. It's scary.
They had recently moved to the area, the girl's grandmother says, describing her as quiet, independent, smart, and sweet. She dreamed of being an actress, deeply loved music and her brother, but now investigators are hoping these two men can help them figure out what ended her young life. And tonight the family is desperate to get whoever did this off the streets, telling me they want justice and prayers. Investigators tell me the girl and the men in those images did not arrive at the store together, but instead it's believed that they crossed paths once there at the store. Investigators say that they were the last ones to see her, and it's not believed right now that they left the area soon after. If you have
I'm sad. You gotta talk to your kids about that sneaking out stuff, because I get they want to go out and do whatever, but it's some real freaks and creeps out here, man. Deborah Cox, Felicia Rashad, both look so good. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
She fell on her knees and begged me for forgiveness.
And whatever happened to the young lady who was your father's mistress that would have unconsensual raping sessions with you?
Yes.
Like, was she ever charged as well? Good.
She was charged and she pleaded out. She didn't go to trial. In exchange for her testimony to get my father the highest, severest conviction, or to charge him the most, the prosecutor decided to basically give her a plea bargain of 5 years. So she served her 5 years. She's out now. I ran into her one day in college.
Oh,
yes.
The bitch went to school.
She did. She had gotten a part of a program, a halfway program. I guess there's like in New Jersey, in Essex County, they do have programs for people coming out of prison where they kind of segue through an education program. I was there after class one day. I go into the bathroom and I see this lady. I said, wait a minute. I said, Akua? She fell on her knees and begged me for forgiveness. And I forgave her.
That just brought chills all over my body. Like,
yeah, I forgave her. She was in tears. She apologized. She was talking all kinds of gibberish. I don't even fully remember, because she was just ranting. And she was like, I'm so sorry. So she was on her knees.
Did she try to blame it on him, or?
No, I mean, not at this time. I did hear from the prosecutor that before her testimony, she tried to say I was older. I wasn't 10, that I was 13. But my father tried to claim that I wasn't his biological daughter, and I was older. And like, he tried that my children was not his biological children.
But then the blood test would run that.
Right.
Yeah.
So the prosecutor had to do blood tests of everybody to prove that he was my father and their father. So she is now a registered sex offender. Like, you can look her up.
Right.
She's a registered sex offender. And I let her know. I said, look, I ran into her at my school, but I don't, and I think it was close to me graduating, because I graduated with an associate's degree at Essex County College before I went on to then university. I said to the prosecutor, I says, listen, I know she cannot be within a certain distance between, me and, because there was also
A protective order.
right,
Yeah.
and the terms of her being released, she could not be within a certain amount of feet of me or my sisters. I let the prosecutor know that she's trying to get her life back in order. I know she was manipulated by my father a lot. No excuse, but I do know that is an element in what she did. And being that I'm about to graduate, I don't want to ruin her chances of trying to reestablish herself. And the prosecutor says to me, are you sure? Are you sure? Because I could have her removed like that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, it's fine. I don't feel threatened. I feel it's fine. But then I never saw her again, so I guess the prosecutor says, well,
put in another school. it. Like,
that's true. But I was about to graduate. I was gonna be there for like 2 more months. So I was like, well, by that
I
time,
don't think she would have apologized to me. I would have been in jail at that point. Like,
yeah.
I forgive you, but now I'm about to whoop your ass. Like, it just would have went so many different.
She looks so small to me, Tasha. She just looks so small, and it's something when you recognize your mental evolution from being a victim to a survivor. I mean, I felt like she would look like nothing to me at that point. I mean, I had made strides and leaps and bounds in my own healing. So then to see this lady who I was afraid of and I dreaded seeing on the weekends and who I grew up afraid of because she would take her before she started molesting me with my father, she used to babysit me and my siblings, and she would do little things, and she'd make us clean, and if there was a fingerprint left on a mirror, then she'd take mine and my brother's skin and like twist it. So she had
she was an evil bitch.
Yeah, she had a little.
Your dad proposed to you in front of your siblings and your mom.
Yes.
At 15 years old.
Yeah, well, I was 16 by then, but yes.
Your biological father.
Biological father.
You put up a reel, and when I tell you it got real in the comment section.
For my 16th birthday, my father proposed to me. Yes, you heard that right. My biological father got on one knee with a ring and asked me to marry him. Surrounded by my mother and my 6 siblings, we stood in the library of the construction site we called home, and I didn't answer. Pregnant with my first child by my father, I cried. Ironically, he thought they were tears of joy. He'd spent the last 8 years brainwashing me through various types of abuse and assumed I'd conformed. But little did he know, escaping him was a hope I refused to let go of. I lost the ring. 8 years later, I found freedom, and he's sitting in jail.
Your dad proposed to you in front of your siblings and your mom?
Yes.
At 15 years old?
Yeah, well, I was 16 by then, but yes.
Your biological father?
Biological father. I did write a short poem called Free in a Box. It explores the fact that I was raised isolated in the middle of a very metropolitan state, which is New Jersey. I mean, we have rural areas, but, for the most part, it's pretty metropolitan, especially when you're close to New York. People didn't know what was going on behind closed doors. They didn't know what was going on in their home. I was homeschooled and not allowed to have friends. I was in Paterson, New Jersey, in the midst of a very populated area, to the point that sometimes when my siblings and I were outside behind the gate, I wasn't allowed by a certain age to go outside of the fence of our home. Police officers would drive by and stop and say, "Aren't you supposed to be in school?" They didn't explore past that. My father, he eventually became a music video director.
Oh.
But he started off as a cabinet maker, an interior designer. He was very much into, African culture and the role Black people played in American history. So I was raised knowing about enslaved Africans, stolen Africans, what as a community, how we are oppressed in the community, how police treat us in our communities. And so, of course, having that fear instilled in me, once a police officer drove past, I became afraid of them.
Oh.
I was afraid of them in general, right? Because I knew how they treated, based on what my father taught us, and images and books that he would show us and read to me. I knew how they looked at Black people. I'll just go ahead and just say it. So my father was molesting me at that age. So I'm 8. He started molesting me when I was 8 years old, and he started raping me when I was 10.
Jesus.
Kept us out of school, so I had never been to school or anything. And as the abuse got worse over time, as I got older, he then would not allow me to go outside, wouldn't allow me to play with other kids, and eventually got to the point where I was not allowed to speak to my extended family. So
So I was cut off from my aunts and my uncles, my cousins, my grandmother.
And it was only you.
Well, it started with only me. And over the course of the beginning part of my childhood, so from like 8 to 14, it was only me he was abusing, because he told me that if I complied, if I kept the secret, if I stopped fighting, then he would not molest my sisters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's how he maintained control. So a lot of people ask me, well, why didn't you run away? Why didn't you fight? Why didn't you? I did all of that. But then he interjected these modes of control. One was that he would hurt my mom. He would kill her. He would beat her. And I witnessed him beating her. He was abusive to my mother. And that he would then molest my sisters.
Your dad.
That's just crazy. This lady sounds so smart, and the fact that she never attended school, it's crazy.
My mother, she actually went to bed early, so what I started doing was I snuck out the house, and I want to say it was probably about 11 o'clock at night, and I heard somebody say, psst, 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 come here. So I walked towards the spitting sound, and this guy began to ask me questions. He was like, so like, what's your name? How old are you? I told him my name. I told him that I was 14. He was like, you're not 14. I said, I am 14. And then he asked me if I was a twerker. And at the time, I thought a twerker was a prostitute. So I'm like, I'm not a twerker. And he was like, yes, you are. So then he came up, he began to walk closer to me, and then he put his hand in between my legs. And because I was used to that, so I'm just like, okay. So when he did that, he was like, oh yeah, you a twerker. So get in the car and holler at my homeboy. So I'm like, okay. And age 14, I had never been penetrated. So when I got into the car with his homeboy, with his friend, I remember I opened the passenger door. So I got in the car. I wasn't even nervous. He began to touch me and caress like my breast and things like that. So I took my underwear off and we had sex. So essentially that was actually my very first time having sex with a man and being penetrated. So in the car with this man, I want to say he probably was like maybe 18 or 19. After I had sex with him, then the guy who first asked me to get into the car to talk to him, he got into the car and he was like, hey, let's get in the back seat, and then end up having sex with him. So then when I felt that I was done, I began to like put my clothes back on and proceed to get out of the back seat of the car. There was another guy that came and he began to push me back into the car, and he said, oh, it's my turn. I'm like, okay. So I had sex with him, and then once he was done, he got out the car. Then another guy got in. Once the fourth guy was done, then I got out of the car. The last two men that I had sex with, they asked me could I come back with them back to one of their houses, and I did that. Had sex with them in some backyard, and I believe at that time I had developed an addiction to that, an addiction to sex at that time, because it was like an adrenaline rush. I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have any of that. I was just out, just being silly. While I was walking home, there was another guy. He came, he was riding on a bicycle, and all these were grown men, and all of them again asked me the same question, what's your name? Where are you from? How old are you? And I'm like, I'm 14. And then they all say, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, I'm 14. So the grown man on the bicycle, when he seen me walking home, he told me, he was like, you shouldn't be out this time of night. And I'm like, okay. So he said, I'm gonna walk you home. I said, okay, cool. He said, yeah, I just want to make sure you get home safe. So as we were walking, I had him and I like turned down the alley, because like in my mind I'm thinking, well, I'm not gonna let him know exactly where I stay, but it's late. So as we began to walk in the alley, he got off his bicycle and then he grabbed my hand and then he lured me to someone else's backyard and then had me get in a certain position and then had sex with me. So that was the fifth guy, that first time for me having sex. Once I made it back inside the house, and I snuck back in through the back door and then got me a shower. It was probably about 5 o'clock in the morning, so I was out from 11 p.m. until about 5. I think they passed a law for school to start later for high schoolers, but at that time, you had to be at school by like 6:50 or so. So I just automatically jumped into the shower, washed up. I remember that first night, like just washing up and seeing a lot of blood on my washcloth and not really understanding it. But I said, hey, if this is what it takes for me to have a boyfriend, I'm all for it. And when I did that, I would go to the same area. And each night, the crowd became larger. So they would have me get into the car and then into the back seat, and then guys would take their turns. So some nights it'll be 2 guys, and then some nights it'll be 20. And while I would be in the back seat with one of the guys, there'll be other men just banging on the window saying, hey, it's my turn. In the midst of this, while I'm out there wilding out, doing some crazy things, having sex with all these random men, I was in an abstinence program. My mother had us join the church when I think I was like 8, and I was very active. I was active in youth group and ushering. It was like I was literally living a double life. Sometimes even after class, some of the guys might be waiting for me, whether at the other house or in the car, or they'll be waiting for me in the bathroom, and then I would have sex with them in those random locations. And my parents, the whole time, they're thinking I'm going to the abstinence program. And I was so well at what I did, I excelled even in the abstinence program, that they had me become to speak at one of the main events, because they really admired just who I was, but not knowing again that I'm getting buck wild. Eventually, with all of that, walking out, doing all that stuff, it was one day I just decided I didn't want to do it anymore. I really tried, and when that happened, I remember I want to say 2 weeks later, some guys, for some reason, I don't know how they figured out where I live, they began to knock on the window, and then it began again. The cycle began again. Parents found out about it from a relative who eventually had asked me to have sex with him. Age 15 is when I surrendered my life to the Lord. My mother, she had...
Child. And they had her in the church and everything.
This is what my kitchen currently looks like, because we had to empty out everything out of our pantry. I'll show you why. For real, everything is out. I just started putting things away. But I have a question, and I could use TikTok's help, because this is terrorizing me. What the hell kind of bug is this? Why are there 500 million of them in our red pepper flake? I'm terrorized to see where else they are. We found them in oatmeal, but why are they here? Why are they in the red pepper flake? It is spicy. Does anyone have any idea what this is? This is gonna flaunt my dreams. I have every sealed container you can imagine. And what the hell? I use sealed containers for everything possible. And what the hell is that? I found it in here, too. My God. Help. This is not how I thought I'd be spending my Saturday afternoon.
That was freaking me out, dude. I definitely checked my pantry, because,
If you see one of these in the parking lot of your favorite store, whether it's a department store, grocery store, a gas station, just know that it's placed there because of high crime activity. These are called lot cops, and oh my goodness, I saw one at one of my favorite Krogers, and this Kroger only been around for 4 months. And I was shocked. I was like, not the super Kroger, but the lot cop. And then I told my man, I'm like, you will never see this at Whole Foods. And he got a little upset. He was like, yes, you would. You will see it at Whole Foods. Dad, they're always surveillance cams. I'm like, yeah, but you don't see the lot cop there. Goddamn.
this music cracked me up.
What kind of movie haven't you done that you still want to do? I haven't done porno. I have not done porno. And I think that would shake people up right there if I made that twist. What kind of movie?
Eddie, you would shake us up, especially if you titled it, My Girl Wants to Party All the Time, Party All the Time, Party All the Time. Alright, y'all, let me get up out of here. Pray for these children, y'all. These children in these streets, Lord. Pray hard, y'all. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.